Live, I guess. Do we go live? We are live. Nice. Welcome to once again the Beyond the Arena podcast. We have a bunch of familiar faces and a new face over here with Apze. I think no one needs an introduction. Everyone here is a streamer right now. Neff also recently streaming a lot more, pretty much taking the afternoon hours in Europe, I would say. Topics of today's podcast. Let me actually grab my notepad. We're going to be talking about relics, preset decks. Apps had a specific topic on mystical scrolls, which I'm also interested in hearing. And then we wanted to do either a balance patch prediction or a balance patch review. Since we don't have the balance patch just yet of what it's going to be, I guess maybe we're going to get the notice tomorrow and then patch on like Wednesday. It's most of the time the common thing out there. Let's see if that's going to be true. But yeah, those are going to be the topics. Also for introduction, I don't think we really have to do a round of introductions, right? I guess everyone knows us so far and all Gucci. Unless anyone has something very interesting to say right now that they have never heard. No, okay, we're good. Talking about relics first. So relics are introduced to the game right now. You get a few bit of relics from Arena, your guild stuff, and also if you feed in dupes, you can get more of them. From what I've noticed myself is that as free-to-play, you don't get that much upgrade material. You have this thing where you feed dupes and you get more relic upgrades. Relic upgrades are also an interesting topic, which we'll definitely discuss in a second. You have this crystal buy. Don't buy that. Way too expensive. That's the first thing I can talk about that. But first takes about relics. Let's start off with Neff. What are you thinking about it?
I like them a lot. They completely changed PvE. Like, for example, specific teams that were insanely on the rune settings are now possible to make. For example, the new Giant Dragons team, where the Julie one-shots the waves. Which before, like, I saw a Julie do that before relics, and it had like 2.5k attack and 275 crit damage. Impossible to do for me, personally. So with these new relics, it's super, like, not super easy, but it is doable to make. So I'm a big fan. And for PvP itself, I feel like relics make a change. I'm not super sure yet on how impactful the relic level is, because I don't have any high level relics. But I feel like they might, specifically these damage taken ones for specific units, right? They might make a big change.
Okay. How about you, Apps?
Honestly, I haven't really noticed them making much of a difference. Like, or at least I haven't had any, I don't know, like a situation where you're like, oh, this relic really changed something for me. I mean, I could see where it would come about in PvE, but like, since they're almost like competitive, like, you know, because the fact that they're limited makes it so they're like inherently a mechanic where you're gonna, you know, if you're luckier or you buy more of them, you're hoping to get some kind of advantage over other people. The fact that you almost never, it's almost invisible how much real effect they're having in PvP, which is like a little bit weird, maybe. Like, I'm wondering if there's going to be cases where there's like certain breakpoints that make them a little bit easier. But yeah, so far I haven't really noticed I don't know, it feels really not that impactful, at least in PvP, for something that is honestly a really huge drain of resources, you know, right? Like every single one you buy is 3 LDs, or not 3, like 2 LD scrolls or whatever, right? So like if you buy that every month, you're giving up 20 LD scrolls plus some amount for the juice to upgrade them to get an effect that like you don't even feel it really. I don't know. They're in a weird spot. I like the fact that there's a new progression mechanic, but the fact that it is hard to notice what exactly they're doing does feel a little bit weird to me.
Fair take, fair take. Someone did the math already in chat. It's 1.3 LDs per relic, technically. So that's a good amount. It does add up, especially if you buy all 10. That's 13 LDs per month, plus, as you mentioned, the upgrade material, which is arguably even more expensive, depending how often they fail. If they fail in the +3, it's cheaper. How about you, Obabo?
I mean, I would say that I can like notice them in PvP almost every game. Like every single time that I don't kill a unit, it's either because they have like an OP relic or because I don't have an OP relic, you know? So it's definitely noticeable.
Well, that is also the question. Like, is that an assumption or is that something you know?
I mean, I know that I don't have good relics. So I know if I had a better relic, I would have killed, you know?
That
Even
is
if I had a
true.
good relic.
That is true.
That is for sure.
Yeah, definitely interesting take from you from Apps, because talking about a PvP, I guess for the nukers is where you notice it most. Like, so for dealing the damage, you notice it most, because you also don't really notice it. It's like, oh, my unit would have survived with 1 HP if I had a little bit more HP. You don't really see that because the unit is dead. You don't know if it just killed it with like 1% over or like 20% over in most cases, at least. But
Yeah.
for nukers, I definitely guess for Sonya, Obabo, have you been liking Sonya a bit more due to relics, adding like a good 80 extra attack if you get a good relic on it?
I mean, it's not bad, but I don't think it's that big of a difference because like most people just run HP relics on everything anyways.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like offset by that, but I guess it's harder to defense trap, which is nice.
Yeah.
But like more things will just tank her outright now with HP as well.
Well, true. Well, some people also
So
say Sonya traps F100 extra defense right now, but it kind of depends. Like, if you want a Sonya trap an off defense unit, and then I'm talking about a Maximilian low base defense, I'm talking about a Dark Zenitsu low base defense, you can add 10% to those, but the 10% value on the attack of a Sonya is way more.
Yeah, but also like if you get 60 defense on your defense trap, that's also more impactful than like 60 or like 80 attack on Sonya, for example.
That's a good point as well. That's definitely a good point, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they're fine. It's just a little bit weird now when like there's such a big disparity between people's relics. Because I think it makes a really big diff. Because I honestly think I would take like a good plus 15 relic over like an LD5 of choice right now, for sure.
And that is probably the most important part right now. I feel like that you can't, like the second a relic dies, you have no way to get a life or any power up chance back to it, right?
I think that's good though. But
I think that's good.
Yeah, but there needs to be like more ways. I don't know. It's weird because it's like fundamentally always going to be like a big
so
diff.
I personally feel like a monthly or weekly craft, for example, like we have currently for Reaps and Ancient Reaps, to give relics like 1 life back for the upgrading part would be super helpful long term in the progression part, because I know people already have a plus 15 relic right now.
Yeah, but I think that's still the same. Oh, sorry if I cut you off a bit.
No,
but I think that will still have the same issue because there's going to be people who are like for 2 years like using their like monthly stone on the same relic, and they're still maybe like only up 1 level. And then there's people with like more plus 15s relics, like 1 for attack, 1 for HP. So it's like really hard to balance it, I think.
But would you not feel better like if you like get your relic to certain breakpoints, like plus 9 or plus 12, instead of like keeping them dying at plus 5, plus 6?
Not really, because I don't think you would ever like those stones would be like reserved for you for like relics that go to like plus 11 or plus 12 anyways. Like you wouldn't use those to hit plus 9 or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I think just to add so that I think it is like a really weird thing for them to balance, because like if they were deterministically able to get to plus 15 or even plus 12, they basically don't like it's almost like they wouldn't have even needed to add them to the game, because everyone just will have, you know, because there's no huge variance in the stats, right? Because they just go up at the same rate. And so all the RNG is whether you get one, not like how high it goes. So like with runes, it's like, oh, did I get a 29? Did I get a 27? Did I get a 23? With these, it's like, oh, if you get it to plus 15, it's plus 20, like every time, right? So like, and if everyone just had plus 15 relics, then the stats would equalize and there'd be no point in having them, kind of.
But the main issue I see here right now is that too many people, me included sadly, are upgrading basically every relic they get their hand on, just and having the chance of getting a plus 15. And I was dumb enough to buy the upgrade material with crystals. I regret that. I did the math later on. Basically 100 pieces are like 3k crystals versus 100 ancient crystals, which is like 90 are 1 LD, right? And 3k equal more than 2. So I was like, yeah, my bad.
I did not watch my videos.
I did that. I did that. I think I did that day one. I think I dumped like 12,000 crystals into
same.
it. Just
day one.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things, but it's also like talking about free to play. I'm also playing a second account right now. I noticed it for a free to play account. You get a fair amount of relics, but you get no upgrade material whatsoever, because the upgrade material is really gate kept by feeding in dupes. Because you get, I think you get like 2 or 3 relics by each content. So let's say you get like 6 relics in total, or like 4 relics in total. But the upgrade material you get is only 40. You don't even get enough upgrade material to get more than a +7, even if everything goes right. Which, yeah, it's just kind of a weird mechanic, I guess. But I kind of like the system in one way. But they did actually already mention that they weren't planning to make no any kind of repair way of your durability. They mentioned that in the very first notice. Then again, they have mentioned before that they're never going to do violent ancient runes. And guess what we're having right now? Violent ancient runes. Took about 4 or 5 years since they mentioned that they wouldn't do it, but things could change. But for now, as Apze is also saying, it is good to have a bit of variance between players like that. Not like if everyone has 15 relics, you might as well remove them. That is kind of true. But it's also one of those things like the odds of getting a +15 is crazy rare. So Obabo was saying rather a +15 relic of choice than an LD5 of choice. The odds of you getting an LD5 of choice is also probably 4 times higher than odds of you getting a +15 relic of choice, or even a +15 relic in the first place. Because a +15 relic on average would take a person that gets all of the relics, including all of the buyable relics by ancient coins, something around like 60 years.
I feel like it would take that long for me to get like an LD5 of choice as well, though. Honestly.
True. Well, if you get the LD5 of choice, let me tell you, it gets nerfed in the next patch. Talk to my Gojo for that one, fuckers.
No, but Gojo, I mean, Gojo is chill, right? Was it that big of a deal, the nerf?
It is noticeable in longer fights. And a big issue was also the meta shift where Gandalf got annoying.
Yeah, because honestly, I really like Gojo still. I wouldn't mind.
Gojo is pretty... Well, I've been playing a lot of Gojo. Actually, Gojo was my main draft this season. He has one big issue. He's a more but worse. So he can, instead of hit 3 times, hit 2 times as well on this S2, and then he strips absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big part... I mean, now we're talking about like Gojo randomly, but I feel like the big part for him is that he can also like cleanse turn 1, right? Yeah. So like your whole draft becomes so much more... Because right now I'm doing like a team with Jamire on Swift.
Yeah.
And I feel like Gojo could also fill that role. Except that it, like most of the time it would be more impactful almost. Except against segments.
The only issue is that Jamire is never targeted by Shiho, and Gojo is always targeted by Shiho.
That is true.
Isn't that kind of good though? If they target the Gojo, because then the rest of your team
then
moves?
They ban your secondary strip, stun the Gojo, and then you have AoE but without strips. Like I've played I think over 500-600 matches of Gojo right now. I have never started off with skill 3. Like, that's how uncommon it actually is. But yeah, we're definitely sidetracking right now. But I also love the sidetracking over here. I think for relics, I think that also just kind of covers it. I think it's very noticeable in PvE because you can either make or not make a dungeon. But in RTA or Siege, killing or not killing, you don't really notice the difference that big, I guess.
But let's add to the PvE part. Most of the PvE stuff you can do on a +6 or to +9 relic.
True.
So it's not that reliant on being super high ceiling.
True.
Which
but
is nice.
You need the right relic though, because just the attack relic doesn't add that much. Personally, I do have 2 +12 relics. I absolutely sack the living shit out of that. But I don't have a single relic with attack, and then attack goes into damage up. And a +12 relic of just 15 attack is worth less than having 1% damage up.
Damn.
So that is how big it is to get like a 1% damage up on the whole shenanigans. What are you guys' thoughts? Like, we have relics for about a month and a half right now, I guess. Is the 100 enough? Like, you have 100 spots to put a relic on. Are some of your relics already hitting the 100?
I think I'm at like 70 or so for one. But I only really like put them on my RTA units. I haven't put them on
yeah, true. Like, especially for apps. I'm not sure if you're a Siege player.
No, I'm not really a Siege player, so I haven't been hitting anything close. Like I actually have, I have several pretty good ones, and I think my best, DPS attack one is on like 55 or 60 units, something like that.
Okay.
So not quite there yet.
Yeah, for me I have a +15 or like a +12, which is 15 attack, and then speed goes into HP, which a little bit all over the place, but on a +12 it's really good. Every unit that is Siege nuking related, so all of the Miyings, all of the Lucians, all of the like legit everything. So I need like 150 slot, if not more. But yeah. But I guess that also kind of covers it for relics, unless someone has something else to say about it. Nope, all good. Next topic.
I was gonna.
Go ahead.
One quick thing. I think something they might want to do, although I'm not sure how they would do it, since it would like dilute the pool even more, is they may want to think about making some that have like more unique secondary effects than, because like even when it's just like, you know, extra damage, it's effectively still like more raw stats. So I don't know if they want to do that to make them similar, like closer to like an artifact where there is a more interesting like substat on them. But anyway, just in this.
How about X stat goes into percentage ignore defense?
Ooh.
Well, technically, artifacts kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it will be a funny one. It will be broken as hell, though, but it will be funny. They didn't mention that they're gonna go for more stats later on, though. I think it was mentioned in one of the notices, so could very well be happening.
How about a relic that gives you crit rate that could finally fix Obabo's issues?
Yeah,
that would be an interesting one. But then you only see the crit rate coming in later, and what if you get attack broken? Do you lose your crit rate?
Well, it takes the stats at the start of the battle, right?
Oh, yeah, true. It's at the start of the battle. That's true. But what if you lose the speed lead and therefore you get 99 crit instead of 100?
Still an upgrade for Obabo.
Yeah, that would be a funny one. Well, next topic, presets. Recently added to the game, similar as a whole bunch of other games where you can make a preset for a dungeon, quickly switch back all of your units back and forth. Personally, for me, I saw this in a different game. First thing I did, write my contacts at Countess EU is like, yo, we need this stuff. I absolutely love that. In the other game, we have it right now. I would say it's even better over here. It does have a lot of issues. It does have a lot of bugs. They're still replacing, like fixing a whole bunch of things. Yep. But I think the end result is going to be really nice. What's your take on decks so far, starting off with Obabo?
I mean, I basically used it for the first time today when I was rushing. I made my dot team, basically. Okay. I mean, I did my Lumel team as well with the deck. I mean, it's nice. I haven't really jumped into it too much because I don't worry too much about like optimizing every dungeon team.
No, that's fair.
Because it doesn't really change much for me. But I can imagine for like Siege and stuff, it's really nice to like cut down on changing your stuff every time.
How about Temple of Chaos for you?
Oh, Temple of Chaos, I think I have one saved.
Okay.
At least. So I can like kinda use it for everything and then I just change like a couple units. And it works a bit better.
How about you, Apze?
Honestly, I haven't really used it very much either. I use it a little bit. But I think it's going to be really awesome, but I'm also not the kind of person to go out of my way to like pre-build all the teams. It's like, I'm going to add a new deck each time, like I want to switch which dungeon I'm farming. So like I've made like 3 because those are the only 3 dungeons I've added, you know, like, or I've changed over to farming since it came out. I did like to make, I made like 10 Lucian offenses for Siege so that I can so now I can do all 10 attacks in like 45 seconds or something. And that's like super duper nice because I don't even have to like, you know, click over to change the runes to the next one from the storage. But no, I mean, I think it's awesome. Like despite the fact I haven't really used it very much, I do think it's really, really good.
Fair. How about you, Neff? I think you use it a lot more because you play a lot more content.
Straight up, one of the best updates ever made for me. I'm exactly the difference of Obabo. Like all my PvE teams, I want to have the best sets always on them. So I use the friends saving slot for that in the past. Like I had Giants, Dragons, Steel Fortress, Punishers, all of them saved in there. So I instantly made a deck for everything. I even added Water Raid and all the other stuffs, like the Rift Raid Beast on one day. I'm so happy that I can farm without like 5 minutes of downtime. So because I have to load runes or stuff like that. I love it. Arena, I'm rushing at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. I only use one offense. I'm way too tired for that. But Siege, I have like 25 offenses or like 30 offenses made at this point. It's really nice, especially for Rush. Like I have like multiple Adriana versions and stuff. And lastly, one thing they need to implement ASAP, the sharing feature. Like, no sharing feature makes it so hard right now on the decks.
Yep.
But the rest, it's great.
Yeah, and then sharing, you mean like share to a guild or to a friend or anything like that? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, like, as the being in a high-end guild myself, as an issue. For me personally, I also play pretty much all content. On my alt, I actually got decks for every dungeon because I was switching back and forth a lot. On my main, I only did like 3 decks pretty much for dungeons. But for Siege, been loving all of them. It is definitely noticeable in a high-end guild, therefore, that there's nothing to hit, because always someone has something to hit, and therefore all towers are gone in 3 seconds. I would also say that, therefore, in arena offense feels so much stronger that arena defense feels pretty weak. And I would almost say the same thing about Siege. Siege offense feels that strong because you can have that many optimized offenses and not defenses. Well, yeah, for defense, you still have like shared runes, whereas an offense is always the best set. So therefore, well, I guess, Neff, you're the only like real Siege player over here. What is your thought on, now we have one unit that has the right skill? What if you can select all 3 to give defense a bit of a buff? Because I would say the buff is very hard on the side of the offense right now, to also counteract that and buff defense a bit.
I feel like the main issue we have right now, because outside of Morris, Rex, Schumer, there's basically no defense, right?
Yeah.
The main issue is that you basically need bullshit units on defense to have like a chance. You need like a Cichlid or anything that is just like can target whatever, right?
Yep.
And that makes it the hardest. That is basically, for me, is like the hardest part to make defense work. Like, so instead of like not even saying you can set skills on all 3 units, you need to get like one part where you can say like, how do I fuck up the AI of my unit that doesn't always hit like the light tank or the dark tank or whatever. I feel like this would be the way to make Siege defense viable or interesting again, because right now it's like 95% Fiesta and just Morris, Rex, Schumer, right?
Yep. Well, that's the thing. What works, I guess, also in arena defense, but also Siege defense. The more RNG, the more merry. That is mainly the thing. So yeah.
But I think it's hard as well because, like, of course, like RNG heavy defenses will work best. But at the same time, is that even like, does that even work that well in the like long run? Isn't that like frustrating to play against like always 10 high RNG defenses? Because they could like do something where you like select a slot on the like offense where you would always use your skill. Like, let's say Cichlid always uses her skill 3 on like slot 1 of the offense.
Exactly. That's what I meant. Like,
I feel
that
like,
Cichlid.
yeah,
Sorry.
like yeah, like that would be a suggestion to like make it like that. But I feel at the same time, it doesn't feel good for the people actually playing with the offense to have like less agency as well, because then like everything regarding like offense building doesn't really make sense anymore, because you have no clue how the units will act. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know if it's really solving the issue.
I feel like the main issue is that you just have too many like units that can't get defense broken, units that can't get one shot, units that like counter like Leo, like, right? So how about instead of making all 3 units have fire? Because I feel like this still doesn't change too much for the offense if there's no RNG involved, right? How about you just like have more options to ban units from the tower that you go into? Like, for example, you have like 5 no Leo towers in a tournament round.
I think that would be something, yeah. They could also like make a special tower that's like a secret tower, like you can't even see the defenses.
Ooh. Oh,
because I honestly think that's like more fun, because then you build your jack of all trades offense and you don't know what you're gonna fight.
Ooh,
So it's
I
like,
like
okay,
that.
you're focusing on your offense, but then you're not like targeting your offense in a way where it makes it so like the units you were like thinking they would do something, it does something completely different just because there's like the skill 3 target a certain slot or something.
Yep.
I kind of feel like
That's cool.
We actually have that in Ethereum restarts, more or less. Let me explain how it works there in Guild Battle. If you have certain towers that are like hidden offenses, but the moment you go in and you leave to change your runes or something like that, you lose. Like, the moment you go in, the battle already started. If you leave, you lost that one. So you actually have to hit them. But the moment you go in and you select your units, you do see what the enemy has, though.
Okay, because I was about to say, like, for example, for Obabo's tower, I feel like everybody's gonna go like Mexi Laura Gojo there in these kind of towers, and it's like,
Yep.
you can't bruiser that, and you get outsped or whatever, right? That sounds like horrible.
It's kind
But I
of
think
funny,
that's also fun because it would be like a little bit like if we had pre-ban in RTA, like the meta for the hidden defenses would like change, like
Yeah.
because of what people put on their hidden defenses, you know. So like if people always do like those Giga outspeed cleave defenses, then people would like use offenses specifically for that. And then if you put in something completely different, you might cook them that way, you know.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Cool idea. But then talking about arena defense, the moment you have a Triton on defense and Triton goes skill 1, is like, yeah, what was the whole point of that defense? So I would say for arena defense, at least give me one skill that I can select, that at least my Triton doesn't be an idiot right there. But I guess that's something that most people would think the same of.
So if we are saying this for Siege and arena defense, what about dungeon teams?
Well,
like one unit, one skill.
I would say if dungeon teams get like a perfect AI moment, everything would be Lucian, which would be a little bit too easy. I would say, however, everything outside of Kairos should always use their most right skill. So then we're talking TOA, we're talking subjugation, we're talking labyrinth, all of those kind of side PvE things that you do, but you don't really care about, and you kind of would like to auto them, but then you have like a Maximilian Neftis just spamming skill 1, and then your team suddenly dies in TOA normal. Like, what the hell's going on? But that would be my take on, I would say for dungeons, at least there's a little bit of a skill and a theory crafting on what unit does what skill at what moment and that kind of stuff, and that's also, I guess, a fun part of it. But for TOA and those kind of things, I will be totally fine if everything just uses their right skill always.
It just hurts to get beaten by Zerat owners every time.
True.
Still.
True. And have you seen the new team where you have a Seraph plus an Uldong and it clears giants in 13 seconds average?
And then you add a Jara as well, so it's even faster. Yeah.
I don't think it gets faster than that though, but yeah.
There's also like one other LD5 that's also like annoying to get it beat by every time in like RTA by the owners, you know.
Yeah, it's a Dark
You
Arrow,
mean
but hey, you're
Dark
gonna say goodbye to that unit next week.
I do actually.
It's fine. I have the same issue with Dark Zeni still.
True.
We're both getting nerfed.
Might be both of them over there. Well, I played Apze 4 times yesterday. I got murdered 3 times, and then the 4th time I finally had a good draft. And my Chiwa was like, yeah, now we're not gonna play anymore. Strip shit, fuck you. I got hella murdered 4 times in a row, man. Holy shit, your team is OP.
What's the team right now?
I mean, what's that?
What's the team right now?
I mean, I'm being fake Benny or premium Benny maybe. I'm just doing
premium.
Yanhan Dark Twins into Velasca Talisman Light Robo a lot. Ooh. So it kind of just depends which. Like the last 3 change depending on what's going on. Like because one of my biggest weaknesses is Water Monkey. So you like, for instance, you draft Tiana much earlier as an example and use that as your cleave mechanic if they go like a Reshion Water Monkey.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's the general play style. It's like cheat something into armor break, insta kill kind of setup.
Yep. And it does do a lot of damage. Diana and Abelio did not like that. And also Tian Lang had nothing to say about it.
I mean, the thing is, though, is like I feel with Tian Lang could have said something about it, though. It's like, when someone drafts him, you just have to like cross your fingers, disrespect him, and hopefully he doesn't do anything. And most of the time he doesn't, but sometimes he does. Yeah, Tian Lang's tripping, those kind of things are actually kind of low. I saw a balance patch, talking a little bit about balance patching already. A balance patch from, I think, the Japanese players that they made themselves or something. And they said for Tian Lang to remove his pushback, but make his strip chance on every hit.
I think that would be insanely big buff. I don't know if that's because Tian Lang is already good, right?
Tian Lang is already good, but it's one of those things to make him a little bit more consistent. It's the same thing about the Nyx. Remove the attack bar game, but give him a high strip chance. Is that a buff for a certain playstyle? 100%. Is it a nerf for another?
Do something like for Tian Lang, for them to give him like strip chance on every hit. I felt they would have to make it so he's like he can only get 30 bar on his passive like once per like natural turn for him, because I feel like giving him like really consistent strip like that is insanely strong. Like that's
I mean,
almost
if they did that change, I would just tune him as an actual stripper and play him like Gianna.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Well, he's
That's the thing.
98 base though. Like, good luck tuning that. I
Yeah.
already struggle with that on 100 base of a Gianna, but yeah, I get the idea.
Yeah, but then your like despair TL would be
True.
a lot scarier and stuff again.
Oh,
Like interrupt.
96. Sorry, it's even lower.
Mm.
Yeah.
Man, that thing has no speed. But yeah, before we go into the balance patch, Apps, you had a topic about mystical scrolls you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so this is like my pet project, which is that Mystic Scrolls are really, really boring. That's my thesis. Mystic Scrolls are super boring, and like considering how many we get, and like if you're even sort of a whale, how many? I mean, like half the packs like come with like 75 or 100 of them now, and it's just like the only reason you summon them is to get stuff to turn into LDs, really. So my idea, and this is like the general idea is they need to add something you can get from Mystic Scrolls that makes it fun to summon them. Like, so basically, like a bad example of this would be like a shiny version of a unit or some kind of like upgraded form of a unit that's like has a super minuscule actual like in combat effect. You know, like imagine you get Chiwu plus plus and he just has like plus 10 base attack, like something that's almost doesn't matter. But
I don't
like
like it.
well, no. But the point is like it doesn't have to be that. It could be
Yeah.
a special skin version. It could be anything that you get out of a Mystic Scroll where when you summon it, you're like, wow, I got the rare thing again. Because now it used to be like, you know, when you first started playing the game, you'd save up your 50 Mystic Scrolls over a week or two and you'd summon. And then when you finally got a Nat 5, you were like, hell yes, I got a Nat 5. It was fun to summon. It's like for a long time now, it's like, okay, this is the thing I click for an hour so that I can then go do a bunch more work converting it into ancient crystals so that I can buy LDs and then I can finally summon the thing I was actually here to summon. Like, and that's my problem with them right now.
What if instead of making a better unit version, you just make it like you have like a 0.1% chance, like make it like a heirloom where you can like change like your border, or you can like you can change your name color or stuff like that. So like an extra drop that can just drop.
Yeah,
from,
I mean, if they did cosmetics, it would have to be like a really insane kind of a cosmetic. Like that's what I was saying is like in my opinion, it needs to be something that gives you a gameplay advantage. It just needs to be it needs to be one in such a way that you like, for instance, if it was like extra defense or even extra attack, then it comes into play whenever you play Sonya, and then it's like, is that what, you know, something like that where there's a break point that like you lose the game because of it or you win the game because of it, and that's like bad. But at the same time, like cosmetics are really lame, like most of the time.
I think it could be like shiny, because I think that idea works. Because I don't think you can just give them extra stats and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it could be shiny, and if it comes shiny, it's like fully Devilmond and like max level when it comes out. So you can actually like feed your other version if you would like. And that way you could also like pull like, oh, I pulled a dupe Tiana, but it's already fully deviled. Then you might also like keep it for siege, for example, instead of like feeding the other one and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously it would be really rare to get it. But I think that would be the way.
Do you add to the shiny version like also different base color or anything? And do the skins have a different base color as well then?
I mean, it could be like they have like a different colored hair, or like their chest piece is a different color or something, for example.
Yeah, so actually Darkpug just mentioned in chat an idea I had a long time ago, but I think the problem is that the way units are balanced in Summoners War makes it not very actually I think he may not be suggesting that. I was saying is like but the way they balance in Summoners War probably makes this not actually possible, but it would be kind of cool if you could get like an off element version of the same unit. So it's like, it's not like you could draft two Chungpungs, but you could get like a Chungpung that's fire. The problem is because of how the element balancing works, like there's probably a bunch of edge cases where it makes it, you know, like untenable, right? Like if you have Water Sonya, then like there's probably some issues.
I mean, I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is when I draft like a Wind Douglas or a Water Douglas.
Yeah. Well, but if you made them rare enough, they actually become closer to like how LDs used to be, which is that once people know you have Wynn Douglas, if they're rare enough that like Wynn Douglas is a one in every, if imagine across the number of G3 players, if there's only been 2 summoned off-colored Douglases, like it becomes an actual like renowned part of your account, like how an LD5 used to be.
Yeah, sure, but yeah. But I feel like there's
No,
already so much that like your account is still so special even without that in a way.
Could people spam their ancient crystals into MS then? From that point on.
I think like if there are a few edge cases that are like super OP, like Douglas might be the first thing that comes to mind, but there's probably some other things that are even stronger. I think it would make Whale's Will a little bit too much, and I don't think that is the main idea for making Mystical Scrolls more interesting. It's probably more... I like the idea with the shiny, especially the idea that Obabo had with full Devilmoning it, because otherwise you have a shiny and you have the Devilmon it. That's annoying. I was already thinking about transferring Devilmons, but how about you just full Devilmon it? Why not? That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, so here's a disgusting Whale viewpoint is... the one thing I don't like about the fully Devilmon is like I have like 800 Devilmons, and it's like it's just giving.
Yeah, but I think it has to be like exciting for
all players.
The people who summon mystics regularly as well, not only for the people who summoned everything. There has to be like a middle ground, I feel like, in a way.
Yeah, I think just shiny already makes things kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, if there was some way that they could do a cosmetic thing where it's like, like I mean, cosmetics the easy way out, right? Like even if they just made a special skin for every unit that was like the plus version or whatever, then like that might be enough.
Yep. And then you get that for the light pure vanilla cookie.
Oh.
You get it for like one particular unit, and it's like the worst fucking unit, and it's straight to storage. Oh, that's so gonna happen to someone. Well, I love the idea though, because for me, if you play on the Steam client, you have a button to skip and you have a button to summon. I think it's like S and F or something. You know how I do my mystical scrolls? If I got like 4,000, spam S and F just for like 15 minutes straight, and then at some point you're done. I don't even check what net 5s I get. Damn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Will issues. But yeah, I like the idea. I will definitely see, like, I do know that Come To Us does check out these podcasts as well, so they probably will write it down and then give it to HQ, and then HQ is like, ha ha ha, put it to the side. But that might happen. You never know what can happen at some point. Do you have anyone else, something more to talk about that, or do we switch the topic to balance patching? I guess we're all good. Balance patch, well, it should be coming somewhere this week, most likely, including the collab units that we haven't seen yet, which they're kind of slow on. Would have loved to have the Frodo on my new account, but missing out on that Frodo guy thus far. Also Dark Aragon, most picked LD5 in G3 right now, but you can't even summon it at the moment. I guess that's the most common one for the balance patch. I guess that there's 2 things for the balance patch that everyone expects. Shumar is probably not going to be as much Shumar as after, and Dark Aragorn is probably going to be a little bit lowered as well. So, who wants to take a first take on the balance patch?
I can start, I guess. Yeah, sure. I'm totally fine with the Dark Aragorn nerf. I think that unit is overtuned. I hope they don't kill it. That's just me, because I'm biased, of course. But yeah, nerf is deserved, so let's be fair.
I think it would be... Okay, if I can cut in. I feel like it would be hard to actually like kill the unit. Because I've been like talking about Dark Aragon nerfs. And I feel like the likely ways he could get hit would be like either 1 turn slow, which I think would be the biggest. Or like +1 CD, which I don't think would affect him that much. Maybe like 50% pushback on the skill 3 is one nerf they could do as well on the target. Or like -1 hit.
No.
I feel like
Come To Us can be hold my beer and be like, okay, the skill 3 is going to be completely 50% activation on all hits.
I think even then it would be kind of insane. Because how many hits is it now?
Well, 3. It would be such an RNG fuckfest at that point, though. That is the main issue that I have with that. So.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, 50% would be kind of ass if it was 50%. Because then you're almost always like on 1 unit, like every other game.
Yep.
That's why I mean I hope they nerf him right. They don't kill him. I still think that Eregion, the overuse of Eregion, is also the biggest enabler for him. But you can also play him with like Nessa, Megumi. I personally, for me, the biggest fun part on him is the S2 though. The S2 combo variations make it insanely cool. I tried it with Nasha, Jaeger, Yonhong, basically every unit. It's
Basically
super
every unit,
cool.
only LDs.
Well, it's
Um,
actually really good with Sonya because Sonya is one of the few that has that long startup
Yes.
animation that both of the Sonya skill ones come in after death breaks.
Was about to mention her. So then I personally hope for a Dagazini nerf. Same issue, like you said, right? Don't kill him, but I feel like that unit, for me, giga issue. Like I reset that unit, even with Aragon, I still lose to that unit. I don't know how it's possible. But apart from that, for me, it would be like number one would be Aya, and then I would look at like Megumi, Shiho, Gandalf, and all this stuff, and Shumo, obviously.
At least for me, honestly, the only part that I don't like about Zenitsu is the fact that no matter what you do to him, he's gonna do 2 S4s in a row, and then he's not gonna have debuffs anymore. It's like he just gets out of everything for free every single time. It's ridiculous.
Can I tell you as a Tianlang owner that you feel that your Tianlang is just not activating, but Zenitsu still takes all the turns? He gets so much bar, it's insane.
Also, one thing though, I think that's like that's a skill 4 issue on Zenith in general, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I do the same thing with the water one. Like, obviously, it doesn't work as well because you can't pick him as often because it's not as broken.
Yeah.
But that's like just a good thing with Zenith in general. Like, even Wind one, like, sure, you can reset him, but he's still gonna skill 4, skill 2 you.
Yep.
That feels like the main issue for me.
Well, for Dark Aragon, you mentioned the S2. I think the S2 will be untouched. Otherwise, they really have to buff the Water Aragon on the S3 to make him viable again. Because the S2 is a big part about his kit that makes him viable right now. So I guess S2, they won't change anything to it. Only thing I dislike about the S2 of the Dark Aragon is that it's so inconsistent with the different units, and even with the different units and different skins, of in what order things come in. Like the Dark Zenny plus a Dark Aragon combination. Dark Zenny skill 1 comes in after Death Break, which is just absolutely so crazy strong.
Yeah.
Also, Neff, are you doing the like 100 res Aragon build?
No.
Because I feel like that, that's the one that I'm fighting like almost every time now, and I feel like that one is so toxic compared to the like just normal ones. Almost every single one that I fight now is 100 res.
I'm just running high HP, high stats, max egg.
Yeah. Because the thing is, like even with the rest, there's still like almost 50k HP. It's like really toxic. And also
base
like 50
HP
and 50 AC is not even bad on, right? You get so many activations.
True.
Yeah, but
like
the base HP is just so broken. Let's be fair, right? Like,
because honestly, I didn't have like that much issues with him, but since the like 100 rest build, he's been a bit more annoying for sure. There's like a lot of them running around now.
Interesting. So yeah, I guess Dark Aragon and Dark Zenny are the most likely for nerfs. What are we thinking about other units for nerfs? So you did already mention like Aya, the Wind Nobara, Gandalf, maybe even the Shiho, Megumi, Asher,
maybe Josephine,
Layla,
Asher?
or not Asher. I was thinking about, I don't know.
Eregion. Yes, Eregion for sure.
Eregion, yeah, sorry, that one. So yeah, a lot of these units are around 50 win rate. Do you think they will address them?
I don't think so, but it's like hard because like lots of people hate Gandalf.
Yep.
But this is like just biased on my own opinion. But I feel like it's more Josephine carrying Gandalf than the other way around.
Fair. Can see that.
I feel like for Megumi, Layla, Shiho, and Gandalf, it's basically just the ATB gain that could get a small nerf. The rest of the kit is fine, but the amount of ATB they gain, like a Layla that S2s you and just gets a natural second turn, like what the hell? What is that? So these kind of nerfs, like for example, take 5% ATB gain from those skills and it should be fine.
I mean, Layla, even with 5% less, she's still gonna get 160 bar from this too.
It's insane.
Yep. Well, also for attack bar gain, like the Aya, I'm so fine if Aya gets less attack bar gain or just less damage in the first place.
I had a really nice idea that I read from during streaming. Somebody said, What about if Aya gets a debuff, she also seals herself, so she can't proc?
Fair.
Wouldn't that then make her also permanently like suck their HP away because she keeps getting debuffed?
No, she needs to get a debuff to put seal on her, so for 1 turn, right?
Well-
Just takes away the part where she procs turn 1 and turn 2 and you're dead.
Oh, you're saying she gets the seal when she takes
Yes,
the debuff, not when she takes
exactly.
the turn. Okay.
Exactly.
I would like
Honestly,
that.
though, I
I
think
mean-
I. Oh, God, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like, I guess they could do that, but then you would still just do like triple enhance Aya. But I feel like, I mean, it would be interesting, I guess.
Well, you could still run Violent just so she can, when she doesn't have debuffs, she can proc back into S2.
No, you can't.
I would probably
cannot.
throw her on Despair. No, Despair is also not. No, Enhance or Triple Nemesis or like those kind of. I would go Triple Nemesis at that point.
Yeah, but there's like lots of units because I was trying to play like Eleanor the other day. There's like so many units now that like just interrupt and counter everything. So it's like sure you can like build around one of the few or like a couple of them, but then there's still like 3 or 4 other counters, and I feel like the payoff for like actually pulling off a combo isn't even always that big. So it's like really hard right now
True.
with the balance battle because I feel like the units aren't even like they're not broken by the stats. They're just like limiting what you can do a lot. I feel like
Yeah.
many of them.
And it's also all of those units we just mentioned outside of the Shio is just a passive unit.
Yeah.
Which also, in my opinion, makes the game more boring.
I think there's a difference between a lot of passive units though. Like some passive units like feel different. Like they feel more proactive. Like Megumi, for example, he just like jumps in whenever, right? But there's like a lot of like Shumar doesn't really feel as much as a
True.
like he's like an offensive passive unit, you know?
Yeah.
Sonya as well doesn't really feel like a passive unit. I mean, she does
Yeah, fair
sometimes if
point.
you glance her perma, but stuff like that.
Let's call
Yeah,
it
like
the
game-
passive
game
units
stats-
that are annoying when not taking turns, but still take
Yeah,
the
yeah.
turns and mess up your whole team for no reason. Win monkeys, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit less of a passive meta, but knowing come to us, like we have Dark Aragorn, one of those options they could do, you have technically already a counter to resets, which is the Pawn Wind, to buff the living shit out of that unit, or you have like a counter against pushbacks with the Wind Gandalf, buff that unit to be really OP, but that is just the thing, once again, we're just buffing passive, so I really do hope they don't go for that route. In the end, the moment I saw the first Eresion buff on the notice, I was like, oh, this is not going to be that big. In the end, it was a lot bigger. But it's also at least an active skill unit rather than it's like, oh, Megumi takes turns by being a plus 100 speed, but someone did an AoE and suddenly everyone has bar.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that they thought that Megumi was going to be like the Eretion counter, and I guess it kind of is, but I think it's really hard to nerf Eretion without getting rid of his 33, like in a meaningful way where he won't actually be picked less. Unless like they really need to probably to deal with him, they need to buff something that is an even bigger, I don't know, something that just like feasts on a first pick Eretion. Like Megumi just is like does okay, but Eretion in particular, assuming that he's like the enabler for all this other stuff. Like there needs to be a unit where if you first pick Eretion, like, and they slam it down as their, counter pick, like it's actually like painful. Megumi, I don't think is painful enough.
True. Well,
gotta
Scribble in
add to
the
that-
chat over here saying, give us more speed leads, more 33s, more 28s. Well, if we think about it, there's only, I would say 3 33 leads that are picked a lot. And then we're talking about Eresion, Oliver, and then Vanessa's third. Samath, you can pick it, but you're not really going to first pick a Samath, whereas the other 3, it's first pick material. So giving Water a 33 or another 33 to Fire, I would definitely not be against now.
I gotta add to that, the main issue that I see on Eretion is that he has 3 great skills. Like he has an S1 with a multi-hit on defense break, the S2, the absorb, the heal block, and the S3, the strip with damage increase. Like, and you can't really nerf him without nerfing the rest of the family. That is the main issue right now,
True.
right?
Well, if we're talking Temple of Chaos, I would love to see the fire version to have a higher rate on the skill 1 death break, but yeah, you cannot do that anymore.
Yeah, nerf Horesians S2. Give them all 100 double hit, 100% attack break or armor break. That's
Well,
fine.
you could do that in his Awakening. I also would really like to see them do that more in the balance patch. Take away an Awakening and awaken them in a skill. They did that with Tian Lang when Tian Lang originally was nerfed due to Mo Long. They buffed Tian Lang a few patches later in the Awakening. And I think they should be doing that a lot more too, because then you can have different skill 1s based on the rest of the kit of a unit. Because, for example, Lima, in my opinion, the best buff Lima can get is give her back the 45 attack bar on full crit. But take that away from the Awakening of the S2 and make that an Awakening in skill 1. And I think there's a lot of units you could do a lot of cool stuff with if you just awaken them in a skill.
Would it be cool that you can choose on some units like between multiple awakenings?
Ooh, that would be cool. I think we had that talk before, right?
Yeah, I think we did, like, or something similar, like with the if you could pick the awakening stat and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I feel like it's
let's exclude speed.
Yeah, you could do it, but it's also hard because then you don't like. It's even harder to like predict what people are doing in a way because there's already so many like hidden things that you don't know.
Yeah. What if it's like kind of shown on the icon of the unit? Like you see in the drafting phase, you have like a small icon where, let's say the top right, and it shows you chose left side, and because of that, it is crit awakening.
Dude, imagine you need to learn for every unit in the game what the skill awakenings or the actual awakenings are on that unit. Oh Lord.
Well, get good.
I mean, if the stat awakenings were just across the board, like you would just need to learn the icons.
Yeah, that's true. But I was thinking, like, for example, for Lima, give her an S2 awakening, give her an S1 awakening, or stuff like that, right?
And then that would only work for like skill 1 or like for stat awakening that you can learn the icon. Otherwise, there's probably too much to learn. Yeah.
I don't think it makes. I mean, it would make a difference, but I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Like, obviously, you can like take it a step further and be like, oh, you can customize base stats and stuff like that as well, But then it's like, okay, everything is just gonna be 12k HP.
Yep. No one is gonna have any defense ever unless you're a Sonya trap.
12k HP Bella. Ooh.
I mean, honestly, I don't think you even go for like any defense on your traps. Everything is gonna have like high base HP, and you just
tank it anyways.
On it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's one way. Well, at that point, you can also make sure that your Sonya's never gonna get trapped anymore. You just give it 1200 attack. Who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh.
But yeah, I think for the balance patch, I'm just hoping that it's like I don't even like hope for any specific nerfs or buffs. I just want it to be like where it feels like they actually thought about the changes a little bit. Because usually I can find like a couple of buffs or nerfs which make sense. Like last one, I couldn't see like pretty much a single one that made sense.
Well, wait, talking about it, I'm actually curious. Can we name all of the buffs from the last balance patch? Because I don't think we even can. That's how low impact they were.
I know like a few just because I like thought about it yesterday, but I think I know more nerfs than buffs. Which is weird because it was only like one nerf which was supposed to be a nerf. So yeah.
Salah.
yeah, that's also one of those things like that they also mention it themselves. They're not really buffing or nerfing, they see it as a change. But like what was that Salah change, man? That made no sense.
That was the preparation to give him speed awakening this next patch.
But I don't even think like Salah's nerf was like the biggest nerf for like a weird unit. I think like Wind Arcane Weapon, for example, was nerfed even harder than Salah, like insanely nerfed compared to Salah. And that's I mean, obviously no one like used her anyways. She has branding now instead of cleanse block on her like strip skill that ignores Heigang. They gave it branding instead of cleanse block. That's the change that they did.
Okay.
So it's like even worse than Salah by like a long shot because it's actually like your strip skill as well, where you could put cleanse block.
They love giving branding to all kinds of random units these days. Like, are they gonna make something that branding is amplified by double the amount of damage of the branding itself at some point? I don't know.
We were talking about that, like, because it was before the Dr. Plasmas came out. So we were like, being like, oh man, they're adding all this branding. Maybe they're going to add like a new branding interaction with these new units or something. And then like there was nothing, obviously, but it was like it was very strange how much branding got added for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of weird where they're adding that, but definitely what Obabo just said, it's like, yeah, less balance patch. Also, the lag run buff is like one of those things like, oh, we have no attack break, but we have a seal. It's like, yeah, I guess.
We just need an
Yeah,
impactful
and then
balance patch.
Chao just gets straight up buffed when he's like picked a lot.
Yeah.
well.
That was so
But
weird.
I think thing is, I don't even think that branding is that bad of a buff for like certain units. But it was like really random as well where they put it and they like took away things. Because I feel like Wolyung, for example, if you gave her skill 3 branding, like sure it's not massive, but it's like it's still a pretty good buff for Wolyung to have branding.
Yeah.
So I don't know, they're like just randomly doing it, I guess. So that's what I'm hoping to see in this one, where it actually we can at least try to like make sense of the changes a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Apps or Neff, any particular buffs or nerfs you guys would like to see?
100% Aya for me. Like
Aya buff?
Nerf. Relax. Nerf.
She should take 50%.
Yeah,
And your lunch money.
This unit, man. Dude, you're like, this looks good. This game is winnable. Nah, fix that, please.
Makes sense.
For me, I think, I mean, so this is gonna be a weird one, and this is like I'm like 100% horribly biased here. I think a lot of the current meta is like revolves around Water Monkey. Like maybe it's a little bit too much. And so if they toned him back even a little bit, like maybe it would change the meta a bit. But I think you'd also have to do something with Ereshion at the same time. Like, yeah, like it's the combination of Ereshion, like the amount of people playing Ereshion Water Monkey as just like this is safe into every single comp and I can first pick it basically is just it seems to me to be a little bit too high. But that's probably my big nerf candidate. I have some ideas for buffs, but
how would you nerf Xiao without putting him back into the storage guardian though?
I think we talked about that like a lot of times, right? Like you give it like 10% extra stun chance, but you make the invisibility 1 turn. But you keep the immunity 2 turns.
Yeah,
I think that would be like such a good change because then he can't just 1 before like any team.
Yep.
But at the same time, you also have like way less situations where you like skill 3 and you don't stun and you just lose instantly.
Yep.
So I think that's like a really good because I feel like if you win from like Shiho not stunning, like that's not even a good win for you, you know?
Yeah, it's like 13%. Like if you have 85 accuracy, it's 13% for the Shio to just never activate. It's like it's just straight up stupid. No, true. Yeah, you mentioned that one before, and I really like that as a change. So
yeah, I think that would actually be a good change.
Yeah.
I guess if like these 2 changes that I want though are gonna be like insanely biased, but just in case like Comtos is listening again, like with Eleanor, would be I want Nigong to have like damage amp when his skill is up and when it's not used. And, and then when it's used, it's damage reduction. So like when it's available, your team gets like 10% damage amp.
Ooh, the whole team. I was thinking just himself. You go all the way, man.
Yeah,
I like 10%. that. It's like Fermion, right? Basically.
I mean, Fermion is only for himself though, but I want it for the whole team, of course.
Fermion. I like that.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea. It also enables like a few weird snipe comps because you can just use it as damage amplifier.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like a little bit of a half sniper himself as well.
Yeah. I would like that.
That's how I played
also,
him last
I
time.
have it, so I'm also biased for that one.
Yeah.
So.
But that's like a change I would love to see because he was like also put in the balance patch at the time because they like know that he's bad. But then the game like, okay, his damage reduction applies to himself. That was what he got.
Yeah.
What is the second change?
The second change was that I want my 1 turn attack buff on Eleanor. Because I mean, that one is very specific as well.
Douglas counter?
It's mainly because I feel like right now, like I love Eleanor, but right now there's not really any reason to use her because she's so combo reliant. And there's so many ways to like interrupt combos now. And the payoff is not even that much better than just having another unit that would have done a skill, for example.
And the attack buff is on the S3 that you just target.
Yeah, just 1 attack buff, like not for the whole team.
Yep, I like that.
Okay. Yeah,
but that's just everyone on the stream ignore me. This was just for come to us here.
wait, but you didn't even talk about your Dorothy. Like, not what is gonna get buffed. How many buffs is Dorothy gonna get?
No, Dorothy is like a lost cause. She will never be better than Trinity. is the thing. And Trinity is already bad as well. So like, does it really matter if they get buffed? It's like a wasted buff if they do it. Just buff Nigong and Eleanor instead. It's better.
For me,
I think,
Dorothy never made any sense. Like, it's a bit of a long story, but I still want to drop that one. Dorothy, for me, feels the same thing as one of my uncles was saying before. And since it's a podcast, I can do a little bit of story time. It is kind of the thing. So you destroy HP, but why? It kind of feels like my uncle came in at some point at the workplace. And he was like, yo, I have this brilliant idea for like a business plan. Like this brilliant idea. I'm like, okay, hit it up. What is your brilliant idea for a business plan? It's like, there's gonna be a nuclear like explosion, and I have this bunker, and I'm gonna sit in there for 30 years, and afterwards I'm gonna sell washing machines. So, what's the fucking point? And that's exactly Dorothy. You destroy HP, but everything should be fucking dead. There is no point in destroyed HP. Everything is fucking dead. That is pretty much Dorothy right there.
That is true.
What about you?
My clothes are gonna be clean. What's that?
Yeah, at least you have washing machines at that point. I don't know.
But I mean,
good.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say because like I mean I don't even want Dorothy buffs. So this thing you can't say that I'm biased even. But like one thing that I actually noticed with her is that if you do like any type of damage to the enemy, the 15% initial damage that you do with your skill 3, which is like similar to Trinity's, is just completely lost. So like if you have like any strip or anything that does damage, you just lose that damage. You don't get it in like any way. I mean, obviously I don't think like giving her that changes that much, but that's like a weird thing that I noticed at least.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the other thing I kind of want to see buffed. This is LD and biased. I want to see Dark Nina good at something.
Oh, she's so bad. But would you make
so
Dark Nina a PvE unit, or do you want her PvP good?
I want her to be. I mean, either is fine. Like if she just applies to bosses, then I'll take my easy 30 million in Temple of Chaos. But if they don't want to do that, then like I mean, like honestly, maybe even buff the second skill so it's like a viable self-cycling like solo unit. It's like if she can just 1v1 anybody because she pushes back and does annoying stuff on her S2. Like that would be, because her third skill makes her steal ATB, but then like the strip defense break chance is kind of like whatever. Like that, either she needs to be like some kind of insane combo unit, or I don't know, something needs to change with her, but because she just like doesn't do anything.
What if, because right now her third skill is like the passive damage amplifier, right? What if you make the second skill also passive that only applies to her? So like, for example, her second skill is like, whenever you use your first skill on your own turn, you absorb X amount of ATB or do stuff like that, or increase the damage of your team for the next turn. Would that be an idea?
Well, her third skill already does the ATB absorb thing. And their second skill is like the steal. I don't know. Like I feel like it's really hard for her.
Yeah, it's one of those units that just doesn't really have an identity to do anything proper. And there's a bunch of units like that.
I mean, the easy way to buff her would just be to make her work on bosses, though.
Yeah.
Because then it's just...
Yeah,
Temple of Chaos.
That would be good for Temple of Chaos, but maybe
Why
also...
not rotate?
But also probably that you can do some like weird PvE teams with it where it applies on the boss and you just nuke it because of it.
And then similarly, the other one that I think honestly it probably will get buffed this patch, so I don't even really need to talk about it too much, is Light Legolas.
Fair.
Like he is.
What are your thoughts on Light Legolas for buffs?
I mean, honestly, I felt that there's two ways to go. You either turn him into like a fake Megumi, where like, not like stripping, but like if you gave him like a self-only like ragdoll passive kind of a thing, where it's like it's not just your team's crits but the enemy team's crits, then it would allow him to like cut in and like disrupt combos. He just takes infinite turns, but like at least he only pushes back on one skill and he doesn't strip and all that. It's either that or some kind of way of amping his own damage, because that's the biggest problem with him, is that it's like, you bring 3 units designed to make him take turns, and then he takes 4 turns and like maybe you kill a unit. Like he just has. It's like I'm gonna take the least impactful turns that I can possibly take. You know,
Did you ever
it's like. Go ahead, sorry.
Did you ever do crit damage build on him, or did you stick with the crit rate?
I only used crit rate. So
Yeah, 'cause
the problem is
I
I
feel
don't
like-
have Lauren, or sorry, not Lauren. Yeah, I can't. I don't have Laura, so I can't like turn him on turn one easily in that way. And I feel
Sure.
like
But I think that's the issue with that unit as well, because he's like, obviously, like if you don't have the setup for him, like you can't just have him be like good by himself, because then if you actually have like the right setup for him, he would just murder everything
Yeah.
instantly. But I mean,
know
I think he
Smokes
could use a buff
was-
for sure. But definitely,
Smokes was
It's
using one crit
difficult.
damage
Yeah.
already on like a super juiced, like slower, like 120, 130 build, but like super high stat wise. And I said when he got released, I said the second he gets buffed, it's gonna be all crits. It's like inevitable. I feel like this buff is coming for him.
I think there's a bunch of ways you can buff him, because I also thought about that unit, because I definitely do feel like he's value for buff. Personally, for the whole family, I would love them to have 3 to 4 shot rather than the 2 to 5, because I hate going 2 shots
Yeah.
all the time and then your enemy goes 5 shots. That stuff is so nasty, especially for the fire one. It's also a buff for the light one if it's a bit more consistent. You could add another multi-hit on the S2 for the light one, which is not an issue with any of the other elements. But what you could also do, the skill 3 gives attack and defense. Attack kind of makes sense. Just extra damage is fine. But the defense one is kind of odd. What if you change that defense for just a straight up damage decrease? So percentable damage decrease. Because if you give that extra speed, too many units already do that. Like you have the Huarang, those have their identity. But the damage reduction makes him more tanky rather than just more defense. Most of the time doesn't really, I guess, right?
What about crit damage instead?
Ooh, that would be a thing, to stack him on crit damage on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, could
I
see
like the
that.
crit damage.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Obabo, you were saying crit damage before, but the thing with crit damage on the Legolas would only be good if you're always hitting on defense break. But if you don't hit on defense break, you might as well just have more attack and go for additional damage by attack.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would depend on what you're using him with. Like, obviously, I would use him with Ethna, because then you give him like 120% bar. He goes in between your Ethna, and then your Ethna skill 3. He gains 50% bar instantly again. So he's already at like, he almost took 4 turns instantly while being 100 speed. So obviously, I think the unit you pair with him matters so much.
Yep, true.
So it will be like really hard to just like giga buff him. But like, I do think he needs a buff still. I think the idea where he like gets bar from enemy crits would be pretty cool as well. Because then you could actually pick him like not only because of your own team, but a little bit depending on what the enemy picks too. Obviously, you would still need to have some synergy with your team.
Yep.
But I think that part could be cool.
I think he has good options for being good, but then talking about another collab unit that's just straight up garbage. Dark Gandalf. How the hell would you buff that unit? Because actually, I think it's just one of those. I put it in a tier specific right now, and that is stay shit, stay salty. And we have like the Light Nobaras in that tier. We have Dorothy kind of being in that tier. We have Light Pure Vanilla Cookie in that tier. Is Dark Gandalf going to be also in that tier, or do you guys actually have like a viable buff for him?
give me 2
I mean, he would
seconds to look up
just
his.
need. I mean,
Don't even
easy
know
would
what
be
he
to just
does.
give him like 20% absorb on the skill 3 or something. But they could also make it so he gets some like 10% like raw damage on the skill 3 as well, because it's double hit, right?
Yeah, it's
Because
double
honestly,
hits.
I don't even think he's in the like giga shit tier, because his skill 3 is like one of the most. It's as consistent as Dark Monkey, right, for stunning. And then your S2 is quite good.
Yeah, I guess so. But
He could be the next Poseidon.
his whole kit is just kind of weird, where he still gets shields from skill 1 and kind of stuff, same as the rest of the family.
I think that's the like somewhat interesting part about him though, because like at least when he's used his skill 3, like he has a chance to stun on the skill 1 as well. I do
mean,
think
maybe. I mean, this is kind of like out there, I guess. But what if since he already has one of the fake, this is an S3, but it's also a passive LOL kind of things. Like you could make something where it like when his skill 3 is on cooldown, it makes his skill 1 do something more interesting. Like, you know, when he puts the shield on, it does, you know, like an attack buff somebody, or, you know, something where it's like it synergizes more when he's not doing the thing he normally does, you know?
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because I
So
do
he's
feel
not just
like
a
even though
turn
he's
one
like the
rotation.
offensive Gandalf, the Gandalfs are all effectively like support units. So it'd be cool if he's like offensively supportive in a way.
Yep. Yeah, I would like that.
I mean, that was always like a change that I wanted for like archangels back in the days when they weren't like used much, where you could like target the enemy with the heal, and you do like half the healing as damage, and stuff like that.
I
It's
would not like that
definitely-
with current aerial healing. That would be way too much damage.
Dude, Arta would go.
Yeah, I mean now it's hard, right? Because now they made a 2-turn city and everything.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if there's some like
Yeah,
shadow
that's cool.
priest kind of healer. I guess Viva Shell is a bit like that. But I think like one unit that I really miss. I mean, I've been using it a bit anyways, and I feel like they very rarely like go back on their nerfs. But I feel like Jogun with 15% bar again would be so good because
No.
it's already so nice versus all the IS and stuff. And Heigang would like still counter it unless you're like outdrafted, even with the 15.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever went exactly back on the nerf,
No,
so
they
I don't
haven't.
think they would do that now.
I mean,
Ah,
I
but
think,
But that's the
I
thing,
think
because I feel like everyone is complaining so much about passive units and stuff. But I feel like even though like that's the easiest one to complain about, but I feel like even with all the passive units, we're still like in a very turn 1 centric meta. Like
Yeah, I mean,
at least
that's
half the time or more.
that's what I was gonna say was the problem of rebuffing Jogun is like when Jogun's good, it's no longer like hard turn 1 versus passive turn 2. It just turns into hard turn 1 versus slightly slower turn 1. Like I don't know, Jogun deletes turn 2 like meta basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he does that right now as well. But
Yeah,
it wasn't
probably.
like he was insta win before, because obviously you beat Heigangs if you had like the 33 lead versus no lead Heigang. But I feel like that was a lost draft by the Heigang side of things in a way. Because how do you end up with no Swift units, no speed lead with Heigang versus speed lead Jogun,
Ask El Mimo.
for example? Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Jogan had 2 highs in this game already in RTA.
True.
And I still see him here and there. Like, it's not like he's dead, but I don't want him to be like another. Because what we had, like, you pick Shiho, I pick Jogan. I pick Jogan, you pick Shiho, kind of meta, and I don't want that back again.
Yeah, true. That's
We
definitely
killed-
something we had before. And then you had the 100 resistance Jogun, and then you
Yeah.
had the 85 accuracy
Yeah.
Shihos, and
But I
And then we
think
deleted Jogun and we still have Shiho.
I think that's
Yep.
the part of the that's part of the issue though, because if we like nerf Megumi or nerf Aya, like that's the same thing as like bringing a Jogan or something into the meta again. So like I feel like there's always gonna be conflict. Like there's always gonna be one side. Like obviously everyone complained about Jogan because everyone just picked it.
Yeah,
I don't
but the
think
main
we're
nerf,
ever going away
the
from
main
that.
nerf you get from that is just everybody's building all the shit on Will again. That's just the main nerf you get from bringing Jogan back.
well, that's actually a thing why Jogun is coming back right now, because a lot of people were going revenge on their Megumis, right?
Or
I
Seal.
mean, I'll just pick it into Aya's mainly because they're always all full, right?
Yeah, Ayas are
Ayas.
100%. Well, you have this really weird person that also just has an Aya and a Juno on Will, but
Yeah.
commonly, yeah, you're right.
But that's why I just hope to see like changes in the balance patch that make sense. It doesn't even have to be like nerfs to passive units or like nerfs to turn 1. Because there's always going to be like, we're always complaining about one of them either way. So
True.
at least make some like cool changes that are fun to try
Yeah,
out.
actually that'd be kind of interesting. Like, I mean, you know, whether or not they nerf, you know, Aragorn or Zenitsu or whatever, like it might be time for just a like we take all the units that literally no one plays and just shotgun a bunch of random buffs in there and see what happens. I mean, it's kind of awkward to do that like a month before an SWC qualifier ends, but
Yeah.
but
The
that
thing
feels kind of like what
from a content creator point of view, it's really cool to do, but the issue is for Come to Us, this is still their baby. They really don't want to mess up. And that's one of those things that if they do that, they're going to create 3 more Olivers at prime time, pretty much.
But
Yeah.
if they nerf or buff, I feel like it has to be now. Like this patch is the one that we want to see these nerfs and buffs happening, because if it's in 2 months, like before some prelims, after some prelims, before a cup, I don't want that.
I think they can do it anyways.
They
can,
did
and
mess
they
up
will
my
probably.
oracles
Because
1 week before
I hate
prelim.
it when we're like saying like, oh, they can't do any changes for like 8 months of the year because there's something going on. Like
Yep.
fuck the SWC players, honestly. Like balance to make the game enjoyable for the average player.
Yes.
I don't care at all about the SWC players. They can like handle it anyways. Like they have more options anyways than the average player. Like think, and then it's still fine.
Yep.
Give us good balance patches instead.
I like that idea, yeah. But I just hope that the whole balance patch isn't written by some intern that just started working there for like 5 days, because that is
Yeah,
like the
no,
last balance
Why not?
patch. Was
You know
like,
it's
like that.
ChatGPT. Come on.
There was nothing in there. It was so hard to find anything.
Damn.
Yeah, let's see if this one is any better. But I do like your take, Obabo, on that one, that balance patches shouldn't care as much about these things. Well, I think they made a mistake a few too many times with like Kaki releases and that kind of stuff in Siege tournaments, which people just got pissed off for. So I guess because of that, they don't really do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would also like to see that more people or more balanced changes just happen like all the time. And as you say, the whatever buffs or nerfs, at least make them make sense. That would be really nice.
Yeah, like last one was definitely different though from like all the other
Yeah.
like
Actually-
like quote unquote bad BPs. Like last one was the first one where I like truly felt like hopeless. I
Yep.
just like read it and I was like, I don't know. There's nothing really to say about it.
The only savior was that we got so many units from Lord of the Rings, basically, and they even
Yeah.
postponed the patch because of Lord of the Rings and didn't add a single unit in. It was the weirdest shit.
True.
I don't know. But
Well,
yeah, that's
the only argument I can make is that they were kind of expecting Shumar to be good, and they kind of wanted to test the water how much Shumar adds to the meta, because that thing wasn't really in the meta just yet because we couldn't play it. That's the only argument I could make, but outside of that, I saw no reason to have that weak of a balance patch at that time. Yeah.
I mean, I think that was smart of them to like actually delay it though, a little bit. Because I think if they like released that balance patch as the collab dropped,
Yeah, that would have been
like okay, they
Marketing-wise,
lose, like a
mm,
decent
yeah.
amount.
marketing-wise. It would have overshadowed the whole collab. That is true.
Yeah.
Like, guys, they're not gonna like this. Better postpone it, boys. Better postpone it.
They knew they were releasing a banger. They were just like,
Yep. Yeah, good takes. Good takes. Any final words before we round it off for today?
My
So-
guess is that we get patch notes tomorrow.
Okay. Patch notes tomorrow.
I
Patch
guess
on
it's-
Wednesday. Something like that. That's
my
most
guess is
common.
Wednesday. Yeah.
That is most common.
When is the like normal cycle? Wouldn't it be like a patch on Wednesday?
Yeah,
Anyway.
mostly. Well, it could be either of 3 days most of the time. It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's the most common days for patch.
Okay.
Sometimes they do patch notes on Fridays, but most of the time that's more of like a collab release, because apparently collab releases, the IP of the collab tells them when they release. So therefore it's more uncommon, and therefore it's more common to be on Fridays and weird days. So I don't expect that. But yeah, hopefully patch notes tomorrow and then patch on Wednesday or so.
Yeah, because like usually I always guess 27th, but I feel like it just makes sense to give the notes tomorrow and then patch on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's the case.
Would be cool.
Yeah, will be
yeah,
nice.
I'm hoping for tonight personally.
Could be cool, I would say. Doesn't
could
even
be
have to
cool.
be would be cool. Could be cool.
Stalaz's coming around for another one.
Yep. Yeah, let's see. Neff, any final words?
If it's not this time, in 2 months we surely get a good patch, right, guys?
It's one of those soon.tm kind of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Apps, any final words?
No, I think I pretty much said it. Just yeah, buff Mystic Scrolls. I don't know why I'm so fixated on them, but they're so boring.
Yeah, fair.
Well,
Okay, final word. Last thing, like if I do qualify for SWC again, I do care about like every SWC player still. Like, don't just jump me when I arrive, please.
No, Obabo just said get good, adapt to the balance patch.
Yeah.
Okay, all good, boys. Thanks for
Adapt to
hanging out.
this.
And
Good
we'll see
podcast.
all of y'all later.
Yep.
So yeah.
Have a good
Also,
one.
guys.
everyone is streaming, so do follow Nev Apps and Obabo as well if you haven't yet. Wait, I'll close this one and then go back to this screen. That's this one, this one. Those are my notes. This one, yay! Then we have about 34 minutes to kill until summon session. A good one over there. Also for the side of YouTube, I will be ending the video. You can still check it later or rewatch it if you would like. We're gonna do a big summon session on the side of Twitch in about 30 minutes. Got about like 145 LDers. But for now, I'm going to be ending on the side of Twitch.